how much of the content that you're seeing on the web is reproduced artificial garbage?
Yeah, I would say probably a ton of it. I'd say better than 50% now. And I'm sure it's going to just exponentially increase because the cost to create is so low.
So are humans going to lose the ability to create? Are we going to lose that creative thought because we don't have to do it anymore? Welcome to Married to the Startup. I'm Alicia and George, a wellness entrepreneur and digital creator. Alongside me is my amazing husband, George, the CEO who's always ready for a new challenge. We've been navigating marriage and running startups for over a decade, and we're here to share the real, unfiltered journey with you. Join us for insights and candid conversations about integrating love, family, and entrepreneurship. This is Married to the Startup, where every day is a new adventure. All right, and we are back for episode 34 of Married to the Startup. I am your host, Alicia McKenzie.
I am your co-host.
I feel like I need to turn you down. You're kind of loud today.
I am?
Yeah.
I am George McKenzie.
Is that a question?
I am? Scotchy. Good in the belly.
2 weeks ago, I went to a party.
Did you?
And I went with the ladies of Next Chapter.
Okay.
But I met a woman there, and she was talking about just how she got invited, what she was doing there, a little bit about her business. But then we got on the subject of children, and she told me that she had 4 children. And I was like, oh, wow, I have 5. And she's like, finally, somebody who understands what it's like having multiples and somebody that I can relate to. She said, because a lot of her friends only had 1 or 2 children, and she has a hard time listening to them complain about her 1 or 2 children when she has 4. And right then, I was turned off by the conversation, because whether you have 1 child or 5 children, parenting is hard, period.
Agreed.
And knowing how to parent 1 child is really difficult because you've never done it before. Like, you second guess everything. You're like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Oh, so-and-so told me I should do this, but then other so-and-so told me that that's the wrong way to do it. Like, you have all of these conflicting opinions in your head, and everybody's got their damn ideas of what works and what doesn't. And it's just so hard to block out the noise and parent your 1 child. Yeah. And the lack of empathy for women that have 1 child or 2 children or 3 children. Like, I feel like coming as a mom of 5, I am super empathetic to mothers, period, because I know it's hard.
Yeah, parenting is hard. And, whether it's 1 or 5, I would agree.
Right. And
you can't, it's hard to look at someone else's situation and try to judge it based on yours, because everybody is, and your situations are so different. Having 1 child, like you said, you don't know how to do anything. Everything is for the first time. Yeah. You run out and you buy all the expensive things. Like, oh, I'm going to get a baby wipe warmer so that it's warm for the baby, and going to get these fancy diapers and get this, that, and the other. And by the time you get to the 5th one, you're like, I just want wipes. I don't really care if they were in the car last night or where they are. I just need some wipes. And I'm just going to put them everywhere around the house because I'm going to need them all the time. Yeah. Yeah. And just the lack of empathy was such a turnoff. And right then, like, the conversation just kind of died for me, and I just stopped listening. And I politely exited myself because I was not enjoying the conversation anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to be judgy, but I just think that empathy is such a good trait. And when I see that you're lacking that for mothers, I'm not about it. But I think that is a good caveat into our first topic of today, which is empathy.
No.
Damn it. I was trying to guess.
Good job. Good guess.
Okay.
It's not that.
Do you get a half point?
No, you don't. You're talking out of turn.
Talking out of turn.
It is the M dash.
Oh, the M dash.
The M dash.
What 99% of America does not know what it is. Or that there's a keyboard shortcut to produce one.
Yeah, there is a keyboard shortcut. Is it different on a Mac than it is in Windows?
It is.
What's the Mac keyboard shortcut for the M dash?
I don't know.
So you mentioned a shortcut, but you don't tell me what it is?
Why would I know that?
Because you looked it up.
I'm not ChatGPT. I don't use M dash in my normal turn of phrase.
So if you have not used ChatGPT, you are probably a part of the 1% that hasn't done it by now. But within a lot of the content that ChatGPT produces, there is a double dash, which is known as an M dash. And that is the key giveaway that whatever you are copy and pasting into whatever platform you're trying to get help with creating content for, whether it's like LinkedIn or let's call it a blog post, there will inevitably be the elusive M dash. And it's very easy to overlook if you don't know what you're looking for. But it is a key giveaway that you are using artificial intelligence to produce your content or to produce anything like an email or.
Yeah, I wonder why. Those LLMs are deferring to an M dash when it's not a common character.
No. And that just leads me to my next subject, which is the end of original thought. How much of the content that you're seeing on the web is reproduced artificial garbage?
Yeah, I would say probably a ton of it. I'd say better than 50% now. And I'm sure it's going to just exponentially increase because the cost to create is so low, right? It takes a few seconds to generate tons and tons of content via AI and then just copy and paste it into social media and platform du jour, or with agentic AI and some of those other, advancements. You don't even need a human in the loop. You can just have it post every day.
Yeah. So are humans going to lose the ability to create? Are we going to lose that creative thought because we don't have to do it anymore?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a muscle just like anything else. If you're not exercising it, not just like an imagination. Imagine. Can I say imagine 3 times in one sentence?
You can. Good job.
But looking at our children and how they're always bored, right?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, if you take even past my generation, when there wasn't video games to play, there wasn't television to watch, you read books and you went outside and you used your imagination, you made up stories, you made up games and pretended, and it's just full of make-believe and imagination. And nowadays there's very little of that unless it's constructed as a parent, because children, if they're left to their own devices, would grab a video game console or grab the TV remote, and they no longer are using their imagination. They are being fed the information. So there's no imagination required. You just watch and observe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And you look at movies nowadays, though, how many original movies are out there, or even television shows? They're mostly like derivatives of something else.
Yeah. Or it's like an absolute remake of Twister.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a different, take something that already existed and then just update it slightly, or update the characters, but the storyline of the base of the piece is the same. It's interesting to see. I wonder about inventions too, or companies.
Yeah.
Same.
What Mission Impossible are we on now?
I don't know, but it's the last one.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah.
It's because Tom Cruise is going to be 100 years old soon.
Mission Impossible 1000.
My Lord, how many ways can he blow up a car?
Yeah, but in the future, like, they're already doing it, right? And that's why it was key to the actor strike, is leveraging AI to, 1, generate content like scripts, but then 2, to take your name, image, and likeness and being able to reproduce it via AI. So I don't need extras anymore in movies. Those are all AI characters. And even you saw in the last couple Star Wars, they were even introducing AI characters, right? Where they took film from the past and regenerated a character with AI and the voice and the mannerisms and the look. So if you sign a contract with Disney, and in that contract they have rights to your name, image, and likeness, and it gets loaded into an AI platform, and now they can make a movie starring you without you having to be involved at all.
And then you don't get paid for it.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
so now, I mean, you don't even need
people,
the actors,
yeah.
Right? So it'll be interesting. I mean, you can see how it could help, because you can do cooler stunts and you can do things without risking human life.
Yeah.
You can do just crazy stuff because it's just an AI person that's not really doing anything. But at the same time, you lose that imagination and you lose that creativity. Like, you look at some of those silent films and the way they had to leverage painting and art to make things look a certain way to, trick the human eye into thinking someone's about to fall off this building when it was just, camera angles and art. And now none of that's going to be required anymore.
Is there going to be a greater value placed on actual human created art and writing?
Maybe.
Right? It's going to become a scarcity, which means supply and demand. That painting that was $5,000 is now worth $50,000.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, right? Like there's a reason we pay X amount of dollars for a handcrafted purse versus one that's stamped out in a factory somewhere, right? It's the craftsmanship, it's the smell of the leather, it's the way it feels, the way it lays. Like there's value in that. But when you make it cookie cutter and easy to produce, does it lose value?
Probably. I don't know. That's a hard one because value is all in, your position and the person that's buying it.
But look at like a car, right? Look at Ferrari or
it's marketing in the name.
No, but those cars take years to build. You can't just stop out a Ferrari.
Right. But some people look at it and, hey, a car gets me from point A to point B. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just solving the equation. And any car can do that versus someone who goes, hey, I appreciate the artistry that went into constructing this vehicle. And I get excited by the horsepower or the speed.
Why can't it be all things?
It can. Everybody's different.
Right? Like value is what somebody's willing to pay for it.
That's right. It's the greatest lesson ever, right? How much is that house worth? Well, it's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
So that's like the creative side of things. But like, what about just interacting with people, right? You see people using ChatGPT now to troubleshoot human problems.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I think lots of people use it as a therapist or as a friend.
Right. But then if you take that output from ChatGPT and regurgitate it back to whoever you're having the issue with, like you're not learning how to do anything. You're just solving the problem. And then you probably aren't going to retain anything that you said because you read it to somebody and there goes that human skill, right? Like how do you manage conflict? You have a bunch of kids out on a playground who get into a fight and then you have two parents that come over and say, you tell me your side of the story. You tell me your side of the story. And then somewhere in the middle, you apologize. You two need to learn how to get along, right? Like we're going to start losing that because we're not doing it.
Yeah. I don't know if AI is in a position right now to replace like a therapy session because it's spitting out facts from journals is much different than someone listening to you and asking you questions to get you to think about it and think about how someone else perceived your actions or how, you perceived your actions versus what the actions actually were.
Yeah.
Versus ChatGPT who says, hey, that sounds like classic narcissism, or that sounds like schizophrenia, or that sounds like XYZ.
You may be bipolar. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Right? Because maybe AI is getting better and you can have those types of conversations with it.
But why do we want to? Why do we want to?
Because, I can see the side that we're talking about. And there's the flip side of that is
accessibility, maybe?
Accessibility, yeah. Not everybody has access or time to speak to a therapist or see a doctor. And it's the middle of the night and I'd rather just ask the question and get the answer than like, especially for a doctor, like WebMD took off and then everybody at home became a doctor, right? Everyone just goes to WebMD and says, oh, this rash looks like it's poison ivy, obviously, because WebMD told me it was. Or I broke my foot.
Or you have cancer.
Yes.
Everything led to me having cancer.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So WebMD is similar, only, ChatGPT takes it up another level where you're interacting with it. It asks a series of questions, kind of like a doctor would, and then it looks in the medical journals and looks in the
it's really interesting.
Diagnosis and says this is what it is.
You're mentioning that, but I read an article the other day about a woman who said that the title was How ChatGPT Saved My Life in 77 Prompts.
Yeah. Right. So
right. But here's the thing. Like she said, I really in hindsight, I should have gone to the doctor.
Right.
And I would have been diagnosed way faster and put on antibiotics way faster than me going through these 77 different prompts to finally get to the problem. Because at one point she had convinced herself that she had scurvy and decided that vitamin C was the answer for her problem.
But AI is going to get,
it wasn't.
It's going to get better at that. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
but it's terrible.
And it'll assist doctors and it already does today, but
Yeah, definitely.
it'll continue to assist. I try to think about, I mean, when the pandemic happened and telemedicine became a bigger thing,
Yeah.
and even with therapy, teletherapy became a bigger thing. And I believe that barrier, knocking that barrier down as fast as we did, really created access for people like lower income people or people that, you know, maybe you're working and you don't have time to go see a doctor. You don't have time to go make an appointment to that, but it's easy to do a 30-minute Zoom session and, you know, get my prescription filled, right? And I get my antibiotics or whatever. So I think the access that opens up and being able to do it from your phone, and almost everybody has a phone today where you can, you know, FaceTime or video chat and be able to access things that used to take time, which were, you know, a luxury item. Like if you're working hourly or you're under the gun with time constraints, you're a single mother or whatever, and you have no time to go do these things. Now you can do those. So the access that it provided is amazing. And then now you say, okay, AI can amplify a doctor. So if you're in a underserved community where there's not a neighborhood doctor that's any good, or there's not a lot of doctors, that you can get advice at some point in time will be clinically backed. Like I can imagine in the future, there'll be an AI chatbot that is backed by the FDA or backed by HHS, which says, hey, this thing is a doctor. It's passed the doctor, whatever test.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking out of my ass. But I'm saying, yeah, I could see a future where that really helps people. And the same with the robot, like Tesla robot and those things come out. And if they are able to care for the elderly, like something that our humanity's gonna have a crisis with when all the boomers are aging out, right? Like who's going to take care of all of them? And if you had a robot that could assist and be friends and take care of them and be AI enabled to provide care and, you know, knowledge, wouldn't that be a good thing?
That just seems like the saddest existence to me, right? Like
As a person or the robot?
both.
The robot doesn't give a shit. It's just a robot.
Oh my God.
Its existence is to do what we tell it.
Right? Like, is that the direction we're going? Like you have your elderly, which in my opinion should be living in a family household somewhere. But you have your elderly population and the only person that wants to hang out with you is an AI robot. Like that's so sad. They can't listen. They can't interact. No.
In the future, they will be able to. Like chatbots interact.
There are human skills that you cannot replace with a robot.
I think the Chinese are trying to solve that one.
No, stop. Like that's what makes me sad. Like there's a need for that human interaction.
There is, and maybe that's the stuff that will be more valuable in the future when, you know, AI becomes electricity and enables almost everything.
But speaking of electricity, like how do you power all this shit?
We're working on it.
Are you? I mean, is nuclear the answer? It's a scary ass answer, but
I don't think so. I think it's the most efficient, and it's outside of the few accidents. I mean, there's a lot. It's gotten better. And it's more efficient. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
So I think.
Would you live next to a nuclear power plant?
I don't know. We all live next to electrical lines, which aren't incredibly safe.
I mean, I think that's the big answer. Is when somebody can confidently say that, yes, I will live next to a nuclear power plant or a nuclear facility, then that's when nuclear is safe.
Well, no one wants to live next to
a prison
waste management facility either, but people do. You got to do it. I can't imagine they're going to plop, you know, nuclear reactors in, you know, highly densely populated areas.
You don't know that. Okay. You've seen crazier things happen. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, you know, maybe those are the companies that will emerge as more of the high touch human.
The ones that like actually focus on real human skills, like listening and creating and accountability and actual networking and teaching you how to be in a room and be uncomfortable and be okay with that.
We shall see.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know. It could go incredibly awesome and enable us to do things we've never done before and as humanity, and maybe help with poverty and, you know, access to medical treatment and counseling and all those things, or it could go horribly, horribly wrong.
You could kill all of humanity.
Yep. 50-50 chance. Probably more skewed than that. Mm-hmm. Topic number 2. We should talk about Little League sports.
Let's not talk about Little League sports.
Why? A winning at all cost personality.
Okay, no, actually, I do like that because this is something that I did want to bring up. And it is that I feel like you should go into coaching, like for real, for real.
Maybe.
I don't think I've
Maybe that's my
seen,
third chapter.
maybe like, I don't think I've seen you enjoy anything more than like being on the baseball field. And like, even when you're not coaching, you're still annoyingly coaching. And I have to stop you because you're not the coach of that team. But I feel like that is something that is a pursuit. And not only because you're good at it, but because it's important. I think that the skills that our kids learn playing sports and just being in that environment is so vital for the upcoming generation.
Yeah, I think sports teaches a lot of life lessons, especially team sports. I think it's, teaches you how to interact with others, how to be a part of a team, and how even if, you could be the best at it, or the best at anything, and it doesn't mean you're going to be successful, because if you can't motivate and empower others to be a part of it, then you'll never be successful. And and I love baseball because you lose almost 70% of the time, that you're going to strike out or be out 70% of the time, and it's a great lesson in perseverance, and it conveys to life. And I think that's where youth sports are having some issues in our country, is we take the life lesson part of out of it and make it about sports, and about, okay, I'm going to convince parents to spend tons of money because there's a 1 in a million, 1 in a billion chance this kid could be a professional athlete. So I'm going to prey on that from every parent and soak as much money out as possible.
How do you fix that though?
I think it's got to be fixed locally. Like, everyone's got to stop running to travel and all these things, and we got to get
I'm side-eyeing that travel comment.
yeah, and get back into youth sports and the rec, and making that a bigger part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we see it at our little league. I'm just focused on baseball now, but our little league, and it's that Saturday and Thursday night experience where you go there and kids are running around, they hit the snack bar, and they're playing all day long at the park, and they're watching their friends' game, and then their friends watch their game, and it's just a fun atmosphere. And you can get better, and you can learn the game, and you can interact and learn all of the life lessons. And it can be competitive as you want it to be, but at the end of the day, the goal should be having fun, getting better, and kids doing their best.
Mm-hmm.
As long as everybody at a rec league is on that same is aligned on the strategy and the goals, and then you build a program to promote those goals.
Yeah,
I think where we get lost is we flip the goal to be winning, and then we teach winning at all costs, right? And then that translates into adults that don't know how to lose, and adults that don't know how to win graciously. And I think that translates to business, to parenting, to everything. It's like, when in the business sense, if you run a good company, you deliver great value to your customers, and you're not trying to win all the time. You're trying to be valuable.
mm-hmm.
Right? You produce something, you have customer engagement, customer success, then it breeds growth.
Yeah.
And if you're a great team leader, whether you're the leader of the company, or you're the leader of your small team, or you're just an individual contributor on your team, but you realize how to be part of a team, and that success is greater than the sum of its parts. So if you get enough people that are all aligned, you can achieve great things. And that's I love that book, Tribal Leadership. I think it's fantastic, and it kind of talks to that. And I think if you look at little league sports, or youth sports, they're just little tribes. And if you can convince people to invest the time, effort, and energy to make those things enjoyable, and not push kids out of it because of the competitiveness of it, I think we'll have better business leaders and better adults. Like, in a business too, having ethics and abiding by the rules, and then learning how to succeed by helping others succeed. I think a lot of times in business, we get a lot of the same culture where it's win at all costs. So I'm going to beat my competitor no matter what. That means I got to price cut them, and I'm going to drive them out of business, or I'm going to find a way in which I can win. And then once I win against my competitor, and then I'll just take government contracting as a simple example. So I'll find out scrupulously or unscrupulously, like, what's the price to win, or I've negotiated, or I sold the customer better, or I understand more about the requirements than someone else does. And then I help influence the RFI, RFQ in a way that skews it toward my advantage. And then I win on price, let's say. I understand what my competitor is going to bid, or I lowball the price knowing that I can't actually do the work for that price. And then I win the work, and then, I mod the contract to get profit.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly legal, but is it ethical? Is it the best value proposition for our government? Probably not. Right? Because I've been taught that I'm going to win at all costs, and this is the way to win. And the people that are on my board and, maybe my investors, all they want to do is win too. So everyone's just focused on winning at all costs.
Which was probably learned in their little league sports.
I was learned somewhere in life, right? Somewhere in life you learn that winning is all that matters. And if you win, it doesn't matter how you won.
Yeah. And I mean, mind you, this is coming from two people who really, really like to win.
Oh, I love to win. And I'll skirt the rules, or I'll push to the edge of the rules as much as I possibly can. But I think at the end of the day, you want to play the game within the rules.
Yeah. And providing a service, like being valuable, like winning with bullshit products. Like that's
exactly. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money selling garbage.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, look at Temu.
Yeah. Selling shit you don't need.
That is slowly destroying our planet.
Right. And, you'll win in the short term. Maybe you have a successful company and you make a lot of money, but what are you doing for the future generations or your children or, humanity as a whole? I'm not saying that everyone has to have that lofty a goal. I mean, but if you're the neighborhood general store, right, you're providing value to your community, or you're running a nonprofit or whatever you're doing, like you can succeed there and have a successful, happy life and not need to win. If we redefine what winning means.
Okay, let's talk about forging relationships.
Yes.
Because this is something that I have had to do more of recently as I grow and like try to create a business. Like you have to have the relationships, but at what point does the relationship mindset change in that I only want to be your friend if you can provide me something?
Yeah, I know. I think we've talked about that before. I can't remember the guy's name, but he does the classes on happiness at Harvard.
Yeah.
Harvard Business School. And I think a lot of the stuff he says, it's obviously he knows what he's talking about, so it makes a lot of sense. And then he goes into one that, to be happy, you got to have a lot of real friends, not deal friends.
Yeah.
And I think that people get lost in that deal friend thing. And I think that's that small town Americana that's lost, that has changed into, what we are today, is everyone looks at everybody, especially in the Northern Virginia area, let's say. And I'm sure it's like this in Hollywood, even worse, in LA and
New
other
York,
places.
all the big places.
But you look at everyone as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you do? What do you do for a living? What do you do for work? Oh, and then you try to figure out let me build my Rolodex of people I know so that I can exchange favors, use it to get ahead, sell them something, get money from them somehow. And it's just, and I'm sure I thought that way once too. But as you get older and you realize that I've never been a great salesperson.
Maybe this is why it's so ick to us, because we don't do sales. Like
I'm
we're
not a salesperson.
We're not good at it. But some of the best people that do sales have never sold me anything. I have gone to them for what I needed.
Yeah.
Right. Like we had a friend who is was a car dealership owned a car dealership here. And never once did he ever mention about me buying a car. And oh, look, one of our last cars I went and bought from him because he was who he was, right? It's not like he ever looked at us as like, oh, they're a mark, they're going to buy a car from me. Or maybe he did, and he was just really low key about it. But regardless, it never felt sleazy or ingenuine. When it starts to feel like you're only talking to me because of what you think I can give you.
Yeah, or
I'm not a fan.
I'm trying to be a member someplace, or I'm trying to get my kids into the school, or I'm trying to move into this neighborhood, or I'm trying to be here because it will open up the aperture for me to land new clients or me to do X, Y, or Z. Yeah. And I get it. You have to land new clients. I just don't like that mindset, right? Of I'm going to make deal friends. It's interesting how if you start to look at the world that way, and just if you make real friends, you have positive interactions and you talk to people, and I've made it a personal kind of goal is I never ask people what they do for a living.
Ditto.
Yeah. I talk about what do they do for fun?
Yeah.
What
was the last book you read?
Because I just don't want to talk about it, because then the question comes back at you, and then it's everyone's trying to figure out who's going to sell who or who's going to do what. And just don't care.
No, one of my favorite ones is like, oh, what podcast are you listening to? Because a lot of people listen to podcasts in this area.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some really cool ones. Like a girlfriend of mine, she's like, you need to go listen to Tennis IQ because it's not only about tennis. It's like how it can relate to your kids and how it relates to work and like just the same mindset. And there was actually a really good tip that she gave me from it. And she said that when you're in that pressure moment, like focus on what your body's doing, right? Like focus on your breathing, focus on your footwork, really, really look at the footwork. And she told her son that on the pitcher's mound, and he has been pitching his ass off.
Yeah, I think that's good. That, and yeah, I'm sure they talked about it in the tennis thing, or they will if they haven't already talked about it in the podcast. But it's the same when you're doing business, when you're doing presentations. Like, I've never had a problem doing presentations or talking in front of groups.
I hate it.
It's never really bothered me. But when I talk to people that do, and for me, what I think about is I'm a big positive self-talk guy. So I talk to myself in my head before I do things. And that's one of the things I'm trying to preach in, coaching in Little League Baseball, is that positive self-talk. Like, as you're walking up to the plate, positive self-talk. I'm a great hitter. I'm going to hit the ball hard. You swing and you miss. Oh, that's okay. I'm a great hitter. I'm going to hit the ball hard. And I do the same thing in business when I'm doing a sales pitch. Walk into hey, I'm a good salesman. I know more about the subject than anybody else. I'm going to go knock this out of the park, right? And when you get up to present, no one knows your presentation better than you.
Yeah.
So you go up there like, I know this material better than anybody else, because someone may be more authoritative on the subject in general, but they're not more authoritative on this presentation, because this presentation is mine. I created it. I know more about it than anybody else. I'm going to rock this out. And because most of it comes from self-doubt. And then once you start manifesting that self-doubt in your head, it's going to come out in action.
But you got to that point because you learned the business, you learned what you were doing. You just didn't come in blind and be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to, let's see what the fuck happens.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I'll end it, my side of it here with, so we've talked about this person before, I think, but he interned with me when he was in high school at my first company. And then he interned a couple times during that first company, interned with me in my second company. And then he just graduated college. Right. And I got word from someone that I know that reached out to me and said, hey, I just interviewed somebody that knew you and said, hey, used to work for you. And I was like, oh, who was it? And they told me. I was like, oh, yeah, awesome. And they said, I was so impressed with him during the interview. He knew more about my company and my product than anybody I've ever interviewed.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Because he actually went to the website. He did some research, all the things that we've talked about before, and he crushed it. And I'm sure he's getting a job offer, and he's going to be incredibly successful. But it's those being prepared and putting the work in. And, you're not just going to show up to an interview and, the knock on Shedeur Sanders, right? You showed up to the interview and thought, they were courting him, not the other way around. And, you got to be prepared.
Okay. So last question then, because I know you have a meeting to go to.
I do.
But if somebody shows up to an in-person interview, head to toe, suit, tie, briefcase, what is your first thought?
Yeah, that this person's prepared and it's put together.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of Just for the Job You Want.
See, and I listened to a podcast the other day, and the interviewer was like, I have no idea who you are now, because I know you don't dress like this Monday through Friday. Right? He said it felt very inauthentic, because that's not who you are. So now,
I don't know.
Right? That's what I mean. Like, what's your take?
Maybe it's different today. And
maybe it's a generational thing too.
It's a generational thing, maybe, and it's changed a bit post-COVID. Yeah. I think like it's almost like AD and BC. I think like it's pre-COVID, post-COVID. It's probably the same with the Industrial Revolution. It's like shit just changed.
Yeah.
But the way I used to do it, and the way that you dress for the job you want, but it's like playing a team sport. I'll go back to sports, right? When you're out there on the field, you're wearing your uniform.
Yeah.
You don't wear that uniform every day.
Yes.
But when you're a ball player and you're on the field, you wear your ball player uniform, and you are a ball player.
Yeah.
So when I was CEO, I put on my CEO uniform.
Yeah.
And I went and I wore my uniform every day, and I did my job.
Yeah.
And I expect people that work for me to do the same thing. You wear your uniform. When you're at home and you're in your ripped up jeans and shit, who cares? That's you at home.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're at work, you're wearing your uniform. People at McDonald's wear their uniform. People at IBM wear their uniform. People at Google wear their uniform. And, the uniforms differ depending on the job and the career path you're on. But my view is you're at work, you're in uniform.
So what I'm hearing is that khakis, button down, if that is what you normally wear to go somewhere nice, then wear that all the time.
I mean, if that's acceptable uniform for your career, yes.
Yeah. Right. Like, don't come in a 3-piece suit and a briefcase if that is not you at all. Right. Like, you're 22 years old. We know that's not what you wear Monday through Friday.
True. But if you say, hey, my boss wears a suit every day, and that's where I want to be, so I'm going to wear a suit every day.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you who I want to be.
Yeah.
Maybe not who I am. And who I am Monday through Friday when I'm at home is not who I am in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a guy partying Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, drinking, his ass off in his mid-20s trying to find a date should not be the same guy that's in the office Monday through Friday, right?
Watching the multiple iterations of you, because I remember when you ran your first company, like your tie collection was insane.
Yeah,
I remember
that was my uniform.
I bought all the ties. And then when you sold the company and you went somewhere else, you were like, I am never fucking putting on a tie ever again. And you've lived to that.
Yeah,
right?
My next uniform was suit, no tie.
Yeah, is what it is.
You just gotta, for me, it's that mindset. It's putting on your uniform, which puts you in the right mindset. So every day when you wake up and you put your uniform on, it's work time. It's work, George.
All right. Well, in the essence of time, I love you. Go make us some money.
George out.
Thank you for tuning in to Married to the Startup. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and keeps the conversation going. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, drop me a message. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time.
George, out.